Well, to start off, we'll let you know a little bit about it.
Welcome to RetroWare TV.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of From Pixels to Plastic. I'm your host, Pixel Dan. You know, I've already gone in the past and shown you some of the awesome toys from the Street Fighter video game series. But the stuff that came out from the G.I. Joe line is far from the only toys released for that video game franchise. So I am going to spend the next 3 episodes of From Pixels to Plastic and completely dedicating it to talking about toys released based on Street Fighter characters. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive right in and see what we've got. In a past episode, I have already shown you the Street Fighter series of action figures that were released in the G.I. Joe toy line in the early 90s. The figures were far from accurate portrayals of characters from Street Fighter 2, but they were the only figures available from the franchise at the time. But as Street Fighter grew from being one popular game to a large franchise, more toy lines were soon to come in years to follow. In 1998, Toy Biz released a line dedicated to the awesome Capcom and Marvel Comics crossover, X-Men vs. Street Fighter. The figures were released as 2-packs in this lineup, each containing one Street Fighter character and one X-Men character. The figures were in the 5-inch scale, and as far as the sculpts and articulation go, they were pretty much on par with other superhero figures that Toy Biz was releasing around this era. The figures do a much better job of actually resembling the characters as we know them from the games. Although at times they do seem oddly proportioned, at least the colors were good, the costumes were accurate, and you could look at Chun-Li and tell that it was a Chun-Li figure. Each set was also packaged with a small cardboard backdrop, featuring a level image from the game. This worked great for setting up diorama scenes with the characters, or even works as good backdrops on your collection shelf. There were a total of 10 figure sets released in this lineup, some of which contained duplicate characters from other packs with alternate color variations. The line was only around for that year, and I remember these sitting on shelves at KB toy stores for many years to follow. I wish I would have bought all of them then, because trying to find them now proves much more difficult. Just looking these figures up on eBay, and you will see that they now run pretty high in price. In 1999, a toy company named Rosaurus would become the first company to release a standalone toy line dedicated to the Street Fighter franchise. These figures stand approximately 8 inches tall, and as you can see, are far more stylized and detailed than any other Street Fighter toys released up to this time. The figures were based off of the artwork from many of the games. The figures' packaging always displayed the name of the game that the figures were based, although most from this series seem to be based off of the Alpha series of games. There were a total of 12 characters released, with each character getting both a Player 1 and a Player 2 paint scheme, making there a total of 24 figures in the lineup. As far as articulation goes, there really wasn't much on these figures. The arms were ball jointed, but the figures were all sculpted in such a way that there was really only one good pose that the figures looked well in. They all came with a round figure stand with the Street Fighter logo, which is a really good thing because most of these figures are impossible to stand without it. There was a third series of figures announced to come out, with a few prototype pictures even being released. Unfortunately, Resource filed for bankruptcy within a few months of announcing the third series, so it was never actually produced. Before the company was out the door, they did release another set of Street Fighter action figures called Street Fighter Jr., which were smaller figures based on the characters' appearances in games like Puzzle Fighter. Just as with their 8-inch line, a second series was announced but was never released due to the company folding. The lines from both Toy Biz and Resource were really great, and provided some new pieces to add to the collections of all Street Fighter fans. But this is far from the end of the road for toys based off of this fighting game franchise. So make sure you join me on the next episode of From Pixels to Plastic, as I take a look at even more figures based off of Street Fighter.
Toy Talk!